If you want to know if a wall is perfectly straight, you don't look at the building next to it. If the building next to it is leaning by just 3 degrees and you copy it, your wall will lean by 6 degrees. Eventually, the whole block comes crashing down. To build something that stands for centuries, you need an absolute baseline that doesn't care about opinions or trends. Builders call this a plumb line, a simple weight on a string that uses gravity to show you the absolute vertical truth. Yet most people build their careers, businesses, and lives by looking at their neighbors. They copy their peers' habits, accept standard industry constraints, and wonder why their growth is entirely crooked. This is called reasoning by analogy. The people who build the future use a completely different operating system. Welcome back to Futurentia, where we build your future today. Today we are downloading the Billionaire Code, 4 master frameworks used by the top 1% to find the absolute plumb line of reality, predict the future, and scale effortlessly. Let's dive in. Our first framework is first principles thinking, famously weaponized by Elon Musk. It means stripping a problem down to its most foundational, undeniable truths and building a solution up from there. When Musk wanted to buy a rocket for SpaceX, the global market quoted him $65 million. Instead of accepting that standard industry price, he dropped a plumb line to the absolute physical realities of the problem. He asked, what is a rocket made of? He listed the raw components, aerospace-grade aluminum, titanium, copper, and carbon fiber. Then he checked the spot market commodity prices of those raw materials. He discovered that the raw materials accounted for a mere 2% of the retail price of a rocket. By bypassing the legacy supply chain and manufacturing the parts from scratch, SpaceX slashed launch costs by roughly 90%, completely cornering the private space market. But stripping a problem down to its core truths is only half the battle. If you don't combine it with our second model, second order thinking, your solutions will backfire on you. First order thinking looks at immediate rewards. Second order thinking asks the ultimate question, and then what? When leaders fail to ask this question, historical disasters happen. Look at the British window tax of 1696. The government wanted an easy way to tax citizens based on their wealth. First order thinking said, rich people live in larger houses. Larger houses have more windows. Therefore, let's tax people based on the number of windows in their property. It seemed like an elegant, logical solution, but they failed to ask, and then what? Property owners and landlords immediately responded by bricking up thousands of windows across Great Britain to lower their tax bills. Entire apartment complexes were plunged into total darkness and slid off from the outside air. The second order consequence? These dark, damp, completely unventilated buildings became massive breeding grounds for bacteria, triggering deadly, widespread outbreaks of typhus and cholera that devastated the workforce for decades. They wanted tax revenue. They got a public health emergency. Let's talk about a literal lack of vision. In your personal life, you do this every time you make a superficial fix. First order thinking, I'll use caffeine and energy drinks to skip 6 hours of sleep and code all night. Second order thinking, your systemic focus collapses. You introduce critical bugs into the code base and you spend the next 3 days recovering. Always look for the bricked up windows in your strategy. Once you have isolated your core truth and mapped out the ripple effects, how do you scale your output without burning out? You install the flywheel effect and weaponize leverage. The flywheel effect, the model Jeff Bezos used to scale Amazon, is built on an ancient agricultural truth, the multiplier law of sowing. When you plant a single grain of wheat in the ground, you don't get a single grain back. You get a stalk that holds dozens of grains. If you take those grains and sow them again, the next harvest yields thousands. A flywheel is a massive 20-ton steel wheel. Getting it to turn once takes immense agonizing effort. But if you keep pushing in the exact same direction, the momentum of the first turn feeds the second turn. By the 10,000th turn, the system's own kinetic energy takes over and compounds automatically. But how do you accelerate that compounding momentum? You apply leverage. Archimedes famously stated that with a long enough lever and a solid place to stand, he could move the entire world. In the digital economy, leverage is an amplifier for your judgment. Tech investor Naval Ravikant points out that we now have access to permissionless leverage, code and content. When you write a reusable script, build an automated pipeline, or create digital assets, that asset acts as an asymmetric seed cast onto the water. It works for you 24/7 across the globe at a marginal cost of zero, replacing your intelligence while you sleep. Let's ground this in your daily schedule. Here's your step-by-step framework to transition from a manual worker to a systems engineer. Drop the plumb line. Find the unalterable truth of your objective. Identify your primary bottleneck at work or in business. Strip away all industry opinions, assumptions, and standard templates. What are the absolute undeniable physical facts of the problem? Run the and then what protocol. Trace your choices down 3 levels before implementing any quick fix. Map out its consequences across time. Will a fast patch today create an architectural debt or a massive operational bottleneck for you next quarter? Design your compounding loop. Align your habits so they feed each other. Ensure your daily habits form a closed ecosystem. Your deep learning should automate your environment management. Your automated systems should free you up from your schedule. Your open schedule should fuel your next level of deep learning. Inject permissionless levers. Convert your manual energy into digital assets. Stop solving the same problem twice. If you fix a technical environment issue or draft a high-tier strategy document, turn it into a reusable script, configuration template, or modular asset that works indefinitely. The future does not belong to those who work themselves to exhaustion on a crooked foundation. It belongs to those who find the absolute truths of reality, plan for the long-term ripple effects, and build automated levers that multiply their output. If you're ready to stop grinding mindlessly and start engineering your life, hit that subscribe button now, smash the like icon, and drop a comment below. What is one copy-pasted rule in your industry that you are ready to dismantle from first principles? Let's deconstruct it together. I'm Futurentia. Build a future today. See you in the next episode.